Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we will see an illustration of the EIG Byzantine Agreement Protocol. So, let me quickly recall the EIG BA protocol. So, this is your EIG tree data structure denoted by T sub NT, okay. And here we have T plus 2 levels, node at level k has n minus k childrens, and we have labels associated with each node consisting of strings which has the identity of distinct parties. So, basically the idea is whenever we go from root to any leaf node along that path, there should be the identity of t plus 1 distinct parties in any order. It need not be in the ascending order. Okay. So, for instance, we have 3 followed by 1 here, we have 4 followed by 1 here, or we have 1 followed by 4 here, and so on. So, in the protocol the parties exchange messages for t plus 1 number of rounds. Basically what they do is at each round they exchange the values of their respective nodes at some specific layer with each other, and based on whatever values they have received from other parties, they decorate or assign values to the childrens at the next layer, and they do this process. So, more specifically for r equal to 1 to t plus 1, party pi does the following in round r. It sends the values of all the nodes at layer r minus 1 except for those nodes whose tag includes I, and those values are sent to everyone including the party itself. Okay. So, for instance, the value of this node will not be communicated by P3 during round 2. Now, based on the messages received by every party, they decorate or assign values to the node at the next level, namely if Pj is reporting to Pi that the value of the node with this tag was having value v, then Pi decorates the node at the next layer whose tag is this with the value v. However, if no message comes in that specific round, specifically in round number r, that means Pj was corrupt, because if Pj is not corrupt then it should have sent a message in that round, but if Pj is corrupt and does not send a message, then Pi uses some default value, right. It does not wait indefinitely for that expected message. And then once all the values in Pi's EIG tree is assigned values, it stops interacting with other parties and then recompute the values of all the nodes in its local copy of the EIG tree, and then whatever value it recomputes for its root node, it takes that to be the output of the BA protocol. So, for instance, the reassignment process is done in a bottom up fashion. The reassignment of the leaf nodes remain the same, they are not assigned any new value, they remain the same as it was earlier. And then as we go up, if we take node x, namely a node with label x, then the new value for that node will be taken to be the majority of the new value or the recomputed value of its children. And remember, those values would have been already recomputed, the recomputed values or the new values would have been already recomputed for the children of node labeled with X, because we are doing the reassignment in a bottom up fashion. However, if the strict majority does not exist and some default value is taken, and once we finish this reassignment process from bottom to up, the root will be now assigned a new value, which is taken to be the output of the BA protocol. So, that is the EIG BA protocol. So, now let us see an illustration to make it simpler. For the purpose of illustration, I am taking n to be 4 and t to be 1. Why we are taking these specific values? Because remember, I told earlier that in order that the protocol should achieve the properties, we require n and t to satisfy the relationship that n should be strictly greater than 3t. So, if I take t to be 1, then the smallest value of n which satisfies the condition n greater than 3t is 4. Of course, we could take n equal to 5, t equal to 1, n to be 6, t to be 1 and so on, but let us take the smallest value of n satisfying the condition n greater than 3t. Of course, you can take higher values of t, say t to be 2, in which case you have to assign the value of n to be at least 7 and so on, and then you take any choice of inputs for the parties, and then you can run the protocol, and you will see that somehow all the properties of Byzantine agreement are satisfied by the protocol. Okay. But for our illustration, we will take the case when n is 4 and t is equal to 1. Now, I take the initial values of the parties to be 1, 0, 1, 1, and since one of the 4 parties could be corrupt, it could be any of the 4 parties. For the purpose of illustration, I am taking the case when P3 is going to be corrupt during the protocol execution. Again, I stress this will not be known, this will not be an information which is known beforehand to everyone. The parties will only know that at most one of the 4 parties is going to behave maliciously in a Byzantine fashion during the protocol execution, or it could be the case that no party deviate, but if at all any deviation, any corruption happens, it could be only one corruption, but which party is going to be exactly corrupted will not be known beforehand. Okay. Also, the respective inputs of the parties will not be known to each other. So, let us see the initialization process of the EIG tree. Okay. So, recall that each party maintains a local copy of its EIG tree. So, P1 have its own copy of the EIG tree, and what it will do is it will assign the input that P1 has for the BA protocol to the root node. So, P1's input is 1. So, that is why it is assigning the value 1 to its root node. P2's input is 0. That is why in P2's copy of the EIG tree, the value 0 will be assigned to the root node by P2. Now, P3 is corrupt, and we do not know what exactly is the input that P3 would like to consider in the protocol. It completely depends upon P3, because we have absolutely no control on the behavior of the corrupt parties. So, imagine for the moment that P3 sticks to the input 1. So, it assigns the value 1 to the root node in its local copy of the EIG tree, and since P4's input is 1, P4 assigns the value 1 to the root node in its local copy of the EIG tree. Okay. That is the initialization process. Now, since t is equal to 1, there will be total t plus 1 equal to 2 rounds of message exchange. So, let us see what are the values which are communicated by the respective parties. And when I say rounds and parties are exchanging messages, they will be exchanging messages in parallel. So, it is not the case that when P1 is exchanging messages with others, P2 simply sits ideal. It is not the case. P2 also will be exchanging the messages as per its protocol instructions for the round 1 and so on. So, in round 1, since P1 is honest, remember we are taking the case when P1, P2 and P4 are honest. They will follow the EIG protocol instructions, and P3 is corrupt, and we have absolutely no control whether P3 is how P3 is going to behave during the EIG protocol's execution. So, during round 1, what P1 is supposed to do? As per the EIG protocol, it is supposed to send the value of its root node to everyone else, and since P1 is honest, it will do it as per the protocol instructions. So, it will tell to everyone that my root node, that means basically P1 will send the message that the node with label lambda has the value 1, and this it will send to P2, this it will send to P3, this it will send to P4 simultaneously. Remember, we have a channel between every pair of parties. Okay. Now, when P1 is sending this information to everyone else, as a result of that, what is going to happen? So, you see at the time of initialization, no value was assigned to the nodes with these labels. The nodes with these label will be assigned values only when P1 tells about the value of its root node during round 1, and now P1 is reporting that the value of its root node is 1. Okay. So, that is why at the end of round 1, everyone will assign the value 1, okay, to the node with the label 1 in their respective copies of the EIG tree. Okay. Now, in the same round, round number 1, P2 will tell that its input is 0, and since P2 is honest, it will do it identically for everyone. So, P2 will inform everyone that hey, in my EIG tree the node with label lambda has been assigned a value 0, and this information it will give to 1, it will give to 2, it will give to 3, and it will give to 4 during round number 1. And due to this, what will happen is the value of the node with label 2 will be assigned a value at the end of round 1. It will be now assigned a value 0. Now, recall we assumed that P3 is corrupt. We are still in round number 1. As per the EIG protocol, P3 is supposed to tell everyone that the value of its root node has been the value of its root node is 1. That is what P3 is supposed to do, but P3 now behaves maliciously. He lies to party 2 and 4 about its root value. Well, P3 can lie to anyone. As I said, the maliciously corrupt party can behave in any arbitrary fashion. So, consider a strategy where adversary instructs P3 that okay, you lie about your root node to 2 and 4. That means ideally P3 is supposed to inform everyone that the value with root node lambda is assigned the value of the root node with the label lambda is 1. That is what it is supposed to tell everyone, but it is not doing so. It is doing so for 1 and 3. That means to party number 1 and party number 3, it is telling correctly that it has assigned a value 1 to its root node, but to 2 and 4 it is telling a different version. To 2 and 4 it is telling that 3 has assigned a value 0 to its root node, and due to this you see what is happening here. Since 1 and 3 have received correctly the value of P3's root node, they have assigned the value 1 to the node with label 3, but if you see the P2's copy of the EIG tree and P4's copy of the EIG tree and a node with label 3, they are assigned a value 0. This is because P3 have behaved maliciously. Okay. And in the same round, P4 as per the protocol instruction is supposed to tell the value of its root node to everyone else. So, P4 will send a message that the value of the root node is 1 to everyone, and since P4 is honest, it will send the identical message to everyone, and as a result of this, everyone will assign the value 1 to the node with label 4 in their respective copies of the EIG tree. So, that is the status after the end of round 1. So, at the end of round 1, this will be the view of respective copies of the EIG tree. At the end of round 1, this will be the copy of P1's, this will be the view of P1's EIG tree, this will be the view of P2's EIG tree, and remember, no one will be knowing the view of other parties' EIG tree. Okay. Now, you can see that if just since P3 has lied about his input value to 2 and 4, the value which I have highlighted, the node which I have highlighted here, okay, this node, it has been assigned different values in the respective copies of EIG tree, and the parties will not be knowing this, because they do not know who is corrupt and who has communicated the right information, who has communicated the wrong information. Fine. Now, let us see what happens during round number 2. Now, in round number 2, let us see what P1 is going to do. So, P1 is supposed to send the value of all the nodes at round number at layer 1 except for this node. Why the value of this node will not be communicated? Because it has a label which includes party number 1, whereas these nodes they do not include any label, whereas the labels of these nodes do not include the party number 1 as one of the indexes, right. So, that is why party 1 will send this message to everyone. It will tell everyone that okay, hey, I have assigned the value 0 to the node with label 2, I have assigned the value 1 to the node with label 3, and I have assigned the value 1 to the node with label 4, and this it will send to everyone identically. Okay. Now, this message will be received by everyone. Okay. Now, based on this message, you see every party is going to decorate the node with label 2-1 in their respective copies of their EIG tree. Why 2-1? Because the party number 1 is sending this information to everyone else regarding the node with label 2. So, 2 followed by 1 will be the node which get decorated with the value 0. In the same way, party number 1 is telling some information about the node which has the label 3. So, 3 followed by 1, that will be the node which gets decorated with the value 0 based on the information that P1 is communicating. So, you see and in the same way P1 is telling everyone that in its copy of the EIG tree, the node with label 4 has been assigned the value 1. So, that is why 4 followed by 1 will be assigned the value 1 in every party's EIG tree, namely this node. That is what P1 will do. In parallel, remember, as I said, when I say communication round, so everyone is communicating to every other party in the particular round parallelly. So, in round number 2, P2 will send the value of this node, the value of this node, and the value of this node to everyone else. Okay. Sorry, the value of this node will not be communicated, because its label include the identity of party 2. Okay. So, 2 will tell that okay, the node with label 1 has the value 1 in its EIG tree, the node with label 3 has the value 0 in its EIG tree, and the node with label 4 has the value 1 in its EIG tree. Okay. So, let us see based on this information how the parties populate or decorate the nodes at layer 2. Okay. So, 2 is telling, so let us analyze the first message. 2 is telling to everyone that a node whose label was 1 has the value 1. Who is telling? 2 is telling. And what was the label of the node that it is talking about? 1. So, 1 followed by 2, that will be the node which will be populated by everyone, and what value it will be assigned? The value which P2 is informing regarding the node in the previous layer. So, the value that it is reporting is 1. So, that is why every party will assign the value 1 to the node whose label is 1 2, right. In the same way, based on this message, every party will populate the node with label 3 2, because 2 is informing about the node with label 3, and that value will be the value that will be assigned will be 0. So, 3 2, right. So, this okay. In the same way, based on this message, the node 4 2 will be assigned the value 1 in all the EIG trees. Okay. Now, let us see what P3 does in the round 2. Remember, P3 is corrupt. In round 1, it has lied to 2 and 3, and it honestly communicated to 1 and 4, but now it might change a strategy. In round number 2, it might decide to lie to different set of parties, and that is quite possible, that is allowed as per the Byzantine behavior, because now P3's system is completely under the control of an adversary, it is completely hacked, and a hacker or the adversary can force P3 to communicate in whatever fashion it would like to. Okay. So, first of all, what are the nodes for which P3 should send the values? Except for this node, it should send a value with, it should send the value of the node with label 1, with label 2 and label 4, right. But it has decided that okay, it will send the values, but it will lie about the values of these nodes to 1 and 4. That means to 2 and 3 it will send correctly, but to 1 and 4 it will send incorrectly. Now, let us see what is the consequence of this. So, 1 1, let us see what will be the consequence of the first message 1 1. Okay. So, who is sending? 3 is sending about which node? The node with label 1. So, ideally everyone should decorate the node with label 1 3 with the value 1. If P3 would have not lied to everyone else, but P3 has decided that it will tell it correctly to 2 and 3, but it will tell it incorrectly to 1 and 4. So, let us see what happens to this node. So, to 1 and 4 it is going to lie, that means instead of sending 1 1 it is sending 1 0, whereas ideally it should send 1 1. So, that is why you see in P1's EIG tree this value is the value that is assigned here is 0, and P4's EIG tree, that is the value that is assigned here is 0, whereas in 3's copy and 2's copy the values are correct. In the same way, based on the second message, right, everyone should populate the node with label 2 3, but now P1 and P4 will have different values for the node with label 2 3 compared to the parties 2 and 3. Okay, you see. And based on the last message, everyone is supposed to populate the node with label 4 3, but again since P3 is telling different versions of the node with label 4, party number 1 and 4 will have different values for this node compared to party 2 and 3. Okay. So, 1 and 4 will assign the values 0, whereas 2 and 3 will assign the value 1. Okay. So, again now you can see, if I see across all the EIG trees, there are several nodes where different parties have assigned different values to a node with some specific label. Okay. So, for instance, the node with label 3, it has different values across different EIG trees, because during round 1 3 lied, and then if we see the nodes, if we see the node with label 1 3 in different EIG trees, again the values are different, because again in round 2 party P3 has lied. Okay. In fact, all these nodes have different values. So, all the nodes for ending with label 3 at layer 1, and all the nodes with labels ending with 3 at layer 2, they have different values, because party 3 has lied during round 1 and round 2. Now, round 2 is still left for party number 4, okay, and party number 4 will send a value of this node and this node. It will not send a value of this node, because it has 4 included in the label, and since P4 is honest, it will send a value of the nodes identically to everyone. Okay. So, for instance, let us see how this message will be used. So, P4 is telling everyone that this is the status in its EIG tree, due to which every party will take the node with label 1 4 and assign the value 1. Okay. And in the same way you can process these two messages as well, right. So, the protocol is done, because remember we are in the setting where t is equal to 1 and the protocol requires only t plus 2 rounds, t plus 1 round, sorry. So, now there will be no further communication. Okay. Now, the parties will go to the output decision, where they have to recompute the values of each node, and then based on the recomputed value of their respective root nodes, they will take that value as the overall output for the BA protocol. Okay. So, We do not care about what is the output of the corrupt parties, because corrupt parties can do anything regarding their output. In fact, they may not even consider any output whatsoever, and we have absolutely no control. Remember, the goals of the BA protocol is only to ensure that the honest participants, the good participants, they terminate, they have a common output and so on. We do not say anything regarding the output or the behavior of the corrupt parties, okay? Output behavior of the corrupt parties, because we have absolutely no control. So, let us see the recomputation process here. So, the values of the leaf nodes will be retained by every party as it is. Okay. So, that is done, no change here. Okay. Now, the value of the next level, higher level, will be decided based on the majority of the new values of the children. So, if I take this node, its children has the new values 1 0 1. So, its majority is 1. This node, its children has the value 0 1 0. So, majority is 0. Here the majority is now for this. Okay. So, for this particular node, namely the node with label 3, you see the values which were computed by different parties in their respected EIG trees were different. Okay. In P1's copy, the value was 1, in P2's copy the value was 0, and in P4's copy the value was 0. But as soon as we do the reassignment process and take the majority of the new values of the children, you see a magic happens. All the new values which are computed for the node ending with 3 turns out to be 0 only, because the majority turns out to be 0, even though the old values were different. I stress, the old values were 1 0 0 respectively, but now the new value is 0 across all the EIG trees. Okay. Now, we go to the root node and follow this majority rule. So, if we take P1's tree, what are the new values for the children? 1 0 0 1, and there is no majority here, 0 is occurring twice, 1 is occurring twice. So, 1 and 1 occurring twice, 0 and 0 occurring twice. So, no majority. So, we can take a default value 0 as the root. And you see here closely what has happened is the new values of the root node in all the EIG tree turns out to be the same. It was 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 1, here also it is 1 0 0 1, here also it is 1 0 0 1. So, even though if we see the values, the old values which were computed by the different EIG trees, they were different. Okay, recall if I go 2 slides back, okay, the old values of this particular child of the root was different across different EIG trees, but now because of the reassignment process, what has happened is that the new values of all the children of the root turned out to be the same. Well, you might be wondering that this might be happening just for this example, but later on we are going to prove that that is going to happen in general for any execution of the EIG protocol, provided your n is greater than 3t and you are using this majority rule. Okay. So, every party will now output the value 0, okay, which ensures that the consistency property is satisfied. So, that is an illustration of the EIG BA protocol, exponential information gathering BA protocol. I hope through the illustration the protocol is clear. Of course, we have to formally prove the security properties, which we will do in the subsequent lectures. So, the references for today's lecture are the same as for the earlier lecture, namely I have used heavily the slides from MIT's distributed algorithm course, and of course, if you want the details, they are available in these 2 textbooks. Thank you.